Welcome to the Beyond the Game podcast with me, Matthew O'Dell. On today's episode, we have Hannah Beacham. Hannah is the founder of Red January, a UK-based charity and nationwide movement backed by leading academics, politicians, and even a study by the University of Oxford. In 2013, her contributions were formally recognised after being named on the honours list, and she was awarded an MBE. Hannah, welcome to the Beyond the Game podcast. The first question that we ask every guest that comes on the podcast is just around the power of sport and what it means to them.
The power of sport. I witness it every single day whenever I see anyone enjoying sport and what that brings to their life. Red January, the past decade, has shown to me that it's so much more than the singular thing of sport. It absolutely transcends into who you are as a human being. And we know through the Red community's experience just the impact on their life, on their overall well-being, and how they show up in the world. It truly has the power to transform the way that you feel about yourself in such a positive way, and also the community around you. But the power of sport for me and for that Red community, it's everything. It's every day, and it's what it means to be human. It really is.
A lot of the time when I speak to guests about this, it starts about the transferable skills and the very practical elements of sport, but it slowly builds into finding that community, finding that purpose, being able to express yourself or be seen in a way that's different. As you alluded to there, sport often starts off very surface level, but as you embrace it, you start to transcend into a deep and personal journey, which is why I always enjoy asking this question to everyone that comes on. So we've just mentioned Red January, but for those that aren't aware, can you describe what Red January is to us, please?
We'd love to, of course. So it's a community initiative nationwide that's empowering people to move to boost their mood. And it exists in the winter largely because we know that inactivity levels skyrocket at this time of year, and there's more reports of lower mood, lower energy. So Red really is here to bring people together, give them that common purpose, everything that you were sharing earlier. So Red stands for Rise Every Day. And the idea is to be rising each day with the intention of moving in a way that works for you and makes you feel good. So right now we have thousands of people across the UK, all embracing different forms of movement that they enjoy. And it includes a 4-year-old Jack, who's been getting out there daily with his school, getting his teachers out there as well, running laps of the playground, bless him. A 98-year-old Brenda in Wales, who's been doing a daily dog walk and been sharing photos of her dog walk with her family on WhatsApp. And everyone in between. It really is just amazing to see the different ways that people are embracing movement in a way that feels sustainable and enjoyable to them. That's really at the heart of what Red is. And 10 years on, so Red January 2025 is 10 years of Red, we still remain one of the only initiatives that truly is empowering people to choose movement that works for them. It's not one set goal, it's never one size fits all. So I'm really proud that 10 years on, it's still at the absolute heart of what we do and why we're here.
I love that motto. What Red stands for is Rise Every Day. As you say, I think it's about that intentionality and starting off the day or the year with a positive mindset and being able to achieve what you want. Especially in around January, you see a lot of exercise fads that, I think the 75 hard, for example, is something that at the moment I feel is everywhere on TikTok or Instagram. Where
I've seen this.
So it's a 75-day challenge where you have to drink 3 liters of water. They have to do 2 workouts a day. It's very prescriptive on what you have to go out and achieve. But what I really like about Red January is that, it allows, as you say, it to be tailored to the 4-year-old, to the 98-year-old, and allow them to join the community in a way that feels authentic to them.
It's exactly that. I wasn't aware of 75 hard, but I do remember, it sounds similar. I remember when we came up with the idea for Red, and it was during that whole phase. Do you remember like the HIIT workouts? And it is, again, a lot of Redders do enjoy those bursts of movement as well. And again, it's whatever works for you. But I just remember seeing there was just a wave of trends. And I thought things were kind of calming down a little bit. And then you hear these things come up and you're like, okay, You just hope that people that are embracing these things don't see it as a failure if they're not reaching those goals that might not feel fully sustainable as well. But for those that want a real challenge, it's great that they exist. So it's just, yeah, it's finding the thing that works for you, really.
Yeah, I think the kind of old phrase "horses for courses" always comes to mind. I don't know if that's one that many people know, but I think my family it's bounded around a lot. But so you founded Red January 10 years ago, but how did you come to found Red January? What's the story behind its formation?
So it started with my incredible mum. So my mum experiences depression, and she was going through particularly low periods in the winter. And this was going on for about 3 years. I remember really just still stays with me actually every winter, seeing my mum pretty much retreat into her bedroom. My mum had been signed off work. And at the time, a lot of people were putting kind of certain things around my mum, around seasonal affective disorder. But actually, what was happening was my mum was becoming more sedentary, and that was heightening her depressive symptoms. And obviously, with it being my mum, I didn't want that to be the case for her. And so Red January originally started with me signing my mum and I up to a walking challenge. My mum really enjoys walking. As a family, we used to love walking all together. So I knew it was something that she really enjoyed. And so I signed us up to the walking challenge. I took the idea home to my mum. And obviously, it wasn't a jump out of bed moment by any means. But slowly and surely, my mum started to know that she had that support system around her. She had a community. She was sharing the goal with me. We were going to be doing it together. And having that sense of purpose, I remember really vividly when my mum was really unwell with her mental health, talking about feeling pretty hopeless. So to have something that she could work towards for herself was a really powerful thing. And slowly but surely, that first Red January was my mum stepping out of bed, getting into the shower, getting downstairs, taking the first step outdoors. And I remember so vividly calling home. It was towards the end of January, and my mum was out for a walk with our family dog, which for most people listening right now, that might feel really like a simple thing that you just do every day. But for my mum, that was huge. And I remember fighting back the tears and thinking, my goodness, my mum is out there for herself. She's doing this for herself. And I didn't want that to be an isolated experience for my mum. And I remember having the idea for Red, with it still the foundations of Red of what I've just described to you there, like coming together around a common goal, a sense of purpose, finding movement that you enjoy. And I shared the idea with my mum, really to get her permission to share it more widely, because I knew my mum wasn't alone in experiencing what she was. And actually, whether you experience mental health challenges or not, I don't know how you're feeling at this time of year. And that's not a loaded question, by the way, because some people feel great all year round, and that's great too. But what we find in the winter is that it can impact mood and energy. And so to share the idea more widely and to see that there was thousands of people out there that really needed an initiative like Red was just so heartwarming to see. And 10 years on, my mum's still at the heart of the community.
Amazing. To be perfectly honest, I've always been someone that's been incredibly active, but I've recently just had appendicitis, so I've had surgery. So I'm currently back to physical health, but can't do exercise. And I think I've probably had everything but in reverse. If I've gone from having the release and the enjoyment and the endorphins and that sense of purpose to not having or not being able to do that for 3 or 4 weeks, and it kind of being combined with January, it's dark outside, it's cold. I've had to really put in a lot of effort to even just make sure that I get out of the house and take the walks. And I'm someone that I would preach the power of sport to everyone. So I can completely understand how easy it is to slip into the habits. It's wonderful to see that you've taken something that's such a personal journey and the story of your mum and been able to really communicate that to a wider community. You've mentioned you've been around for 10 years. In the last 10 years, what impact has Red January had?
We've been looking back a lot recently, really reflecting on that 10 years and thinking about what impact we've had along the way. And the measurement for us is always asking Redders directly, like, how are you feeling? And the thing that we are hearing often, because a lot of people come back year on year to set themselves a new personal challenge that works for them. But the thing that we hear year on year is improvement in their self-esteem, in how they're showing up in the world, in their sleep, in their overall happiness levels, decreased anxiety. And we were seeing this for years, and to have that validated by the University of Oxford research, who came on board as a partner a few years back, is just incredible for us to know that that's a true reflection of what that community's experiencing. Because when I go and chat to Redders, I'm mindful that they might be sharing all the good bits with me and not the other sides of it as well. So it's so lovely to have that evidence to show that it truly is having an impact on people's activity levels at a time of year where they might be more sedentary, and on their overall emotional well-being and mental health as a whole as well. And it's also the richer connections that it builds as well. It's truly bringing schools together and universities and workplaces and families, and to know that it's really enriching those relationships in people's lives, that goes well beyond January. That's something that you'll carry with you for a long, long time as well, which is so heartwarming.
As a society, we're so much more digitally connected than ever, but we are lacking connection in terms of spending physical time with people. I also do think that exercising, even if it's just walking with a person, there's been a lot of research that's been done about men find it really hard to open up to people sat face to face. So if you ever look at men in a group, they'll always be stood at a 45-degree angle, so they're avoiding immediate eye contact. But one of the best ways that research has shown to allow men to feel comfortable is by doing an activity at the same time, because it gives you a level of comfort and almost distraction that you're able to unpick some of the problems that you want to talk about.
Definitely. I wasn't aware of the 45-degree angle, but that makes complete sense now you've shared it, because like you said, there's so much research to show that when you're side by side moving, it can just create a bit more of a flowing conversation. And often actually whenever we're meeting the red community, I'll always say, let's just go for a walk. And I don't know about you, but I always find that I leave those walks having got to know someone so much better than I may have done when it's over a coffee even. It can sometimes feel a bit more transactional almost, but there's just something about being out in nature where it feels like there's no boundaries, because you're not in a boundaried setting almost as well. But I wasn't aware of the 45-degree. I'm going to remember that now. I'm sure I'll start seeing it everywhere when I'm out and about.
And I know this is a really tough one, but a lot of people will come back with a line, which I'm sure you've heard many times before, but I don't have enough time in the day. What would you say to someone that, feels that they simply don't have enough time to exercise?
I would share some of the feedback we've got from the Red community, because the thing that they were finding as well when they joined Red was, how am I going to fit all of this in? My day already feels so packed. And the things that have worked really well for them is looking at your day and thinking about where you might be able to introduce some form of movement, like your everyday journeys. So, for example, walking your children to school rather than getting in the car. Or if you're getting a bus or a tube, can you get off a stop earlier and walk the rest of the journey? If you feel confident cycling in the winter and it's safe to do so, are there opportunities to do that too? And even if you're in work, maybe putting in some meetings that are just movement breaks, 10 minutes here and there, carving out that time, even if it means literally standing up from your desk and going to make a cup of tea, just creating those moments for yourself so you're not as sedentary day in, day out. And those might sound pretty simple, but the thing that works so beautifully with Red is the fact that it is just so simple. And those are the things that are likely to be more sustainable, those habits that you'll keep on going with. But yeah, looking at your day and thinking, what are the natural points in the day that I could be moving? And if there's nothing in there, creating those moments, like I said, for yourself, putting them in there, your diary as a priority, like you would a meeting, like treating it like that, because it is a priority. We all need to be moving.
Yeah, one thing that I saw on another podcast, and for the life of me, I can't remember where I saw it, but they always said, if you were to ask someone, can you spare 1% of your day to do something for you? then you would always say yes. And then you realize that 1% of your day is actually 15 minutes. I think it's a really nice way of visualizing your time as well.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be this, because again, going back to 10 years ago, and I know we touched upon it earlier in terms of those high intensity workouts, but often the thing around an hour in the gym, like it's all you ever heard was it's an hour. Like there was constant things around that, but it doesn't need to be that. You don't need to carve out your whole evening to go there and then shower. And then by the time you get back, and it already feels pretty overwhelming. So it's just breaking it down and keeping it simple and realistic. So on those days where life does get busy, you're still able to kind of continue some of those habits as well.
So Red January's been going for 10 years now. If you look back now, 10 years on from the start, if you look at your original goals and take a moment to reflect, what would you say about the journey and how far you've come?
That's a really good question. And it's funny, actually, I'm getting asked like these questions a lot. Like, those milestone moments. You feel like, was this always the ambition? And the original goals were always to make sure that it was rooted in the experience that my mum had. So community, finding movement that you enjoy, and having that sense of purpose, that goal that works for you. And 10 years ago, that sounded really unsexy and people weren't really listening to it. And as I said, it was the kind of the phase of like the HIIT workouts, and it felt like it was just big lights, overwhelm of lots of information. And we stayed really true to who we were, because we knew that was what would truly, truly help support people. And we really care that people are supporting their mental health with movement in a way that works for them. So the goals have remained the same in terms of staying true to that. I knew really early on that we would need the support of experts around us to do that. So from the first few years, we were in conversation with the likes of Dr. Brandon Stubbs, the world's leading researcher into movement and mental health. We were having conversations with the University of Oxford. We were listening and learning and spending time with the Red community, understanding what they needed and wanted from initiatives like Red. And it takes time, these things. So even 10 years on, it feels like we've only just scratched the surface of what initiatives like Red can truly do for society. But in terms of that growth and that ambition, as I said, it's always been rooted in what can we do to support the individual. It's never one size fits all. But what can we do to really kind of build some strength around Red and make sure it's not just this one voice that's saying this is the way it should be. It's actually inviting experts and people that are experiencing it to shape it with us as well. So the goal remains the same to this day, making sure it always stays true to its core.
Yeah, I like the fact that when you were starting out, you weren't an expert and you've kind of almost used your community to help shape the community. If someone else is out there, they're looking to build a community, whether it's a charity, whether it's a run club, what advice would you give them on creating their own community and fostering a positive environment?
The biggest thing, because we often get asked questions around, I want to build a community, like what should I do? And it's to say up front that there's no quick wins, and there never should be quick wins when it comes to behavior change and building communities and nurturing communities. And the biggest thing we learn is that actually to empower an individual to share their own experience. So everyone in that Red community is almost ambassadors for Red. So they're out there sharing their Red January experience, which then would inspire others to consider it too. Like hearing from someone you care about is so much more profound than hearing from a brand. So it's just really empowering individuals, so the early adopters, as you would call them, I guess, empowering them to spread their own experience and then creating this real ripple effect that will happen very, very organically. And so it's really that. And that's what we did early on is I was meeting with lots of Redders. I was getting out there. It was very much on the ground. The first few years of Red, even now, actually, it's it's us out there, even handing out leaflets and having conversations. So it's very much on the ground, listening, learning, and empowering and educating people as to the benefits.
One thing that you were talking about there was personal anecdotes have a real power to connect. And I think it's something that, I see a lot with some of the guests that I speak to. I was actually chatting to Luke from 2 Pints Deep, who runs a men's mental health charity. He's just quit his job to go full time, and his whole story is about his mum sadly got cancer and passed away, and he entered this kind of stage of depression. But he took that and kind of his learnings and is now using that as a platform to encourage other men to take the first steps in building connections and confront their mental health. And as someone that's, personally struggled with mental health, I found his story, I immediately connected with it because it was the sincerity, it was the authenticity that you can immediately relate with. And I think a lot of times brands struggle to build equity because they sit behind a logo. And I think if you sit behind a face and a voice and have a platform to, share your own personal experiences, then that is a much more powerful vehicle, which I guess is also why we're seeing such a rise in influencers that are sharing their journeys, because, it provides that instant layer of connection.
Massively. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with all of what you're sharing. And it is, like you said, those personal experiences, for finding these things that really are relatable and resonate with you. And when you're on Red's social channels, I hope you'll feel that it's not Red speaking, it's the community speaking. It's rare that we speak as Red, it's Redders. And that's always, again, been at the heart of what we do, because everyone's voices deserve to be heard. Everyone's experiences deserves to be heard. And your hope is that you're reaching someone with a story that, as you described with your experience, it really truly resonates with them and it will inspire them to move. Yeah, there's something just so beautiful in that. Just how organic that is as well. You can't force those things. No amount of paid advertising. It's the organic. It's the human relationships. Those are the things that can really change people's lives.
And I know we talked about earlier that, we're probably more digitally connected than ever, and that is a bad thing. There are some good cases of how, digitally you can connect with people through personal stories and start to build a community that actually makes a tangible difference. Yeah, you've done an amazing job, to be perfectly honest.
It's all the community as well. Thank you for sharing that. But I just, I'm a Redder. Like, I'm someone in the community as well. And I know I was sharing with you before we jumped on here, I'm enjoying it as well. Like, I'm moving daily and experiencing the benefits on my own mental health. And I think that's the thing. I'm not one step removed from this. I'm in it. And I definitely wake up in the morning when it's pitch black and I think, oh my gosh. And it's like choking it down. And it's like, I need to source some motivation. And then as you were describing with the online community, that's when that comes in. Like, knowing that you're not alone, you've got that support system. Yeah, it can be a really powerful thing. But yeah, I just wanted to make that point of, I'm in it. And so it's just, I obviously take steps out from time to time to make sure like everything's very still rooted in our values and mission and all of those things. But yeah, I love that I'm in it too. I'm a Redder.
Well, we can see from the passion and enthusiasm and the big smile that you've had on your face for the last half an hour that, yeah, this is something that you really enjoy, and it's really evident that you're passionate about it. So it's something that's, yeah, lovely to see.
Thank you.
So you recently were awarded an MBE. How was that? Was it a bit of a surreal
Just a
moment?
casual.
Yeah, I mean, I had to ask it.
How was that? It was truly a shock to receive the news. And the way I received the news as well. So I was in the car with my husband and we were driving up to Scotland, and the Wi-Fi was kind of breaking in and out. I had a phone call, and on that phone call they were trying to explain to me that I'd been awarded an MBE, but it kept dropping out at those significant moments. And also they opened with saying we're calling from the cabinet office. And I think it's just the way I'm wired. But my first thought was, have I paid my taxes? Like,
What have I done?
was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, they were calling to share that news. And so on the call, bless my husband, he was thinking I was in a bit of shock, thinking I hadn't done something. I was getting told off for something. And then obviously pure elation at the hearing the news. And it definitely took me by surprise. I think, as I said to you earlier, it feels like we've only just scratched the surface of Red as well. So I was like, wow, I can't believe that they're feeling like this community is just galvanized so much impact and support. My only wish is that, and I mean this sincerely, my only wish is that everyone in the community could experience that as well. Because I don't know how others have. I need to chat to more people actually that have been awarded these things, but it feels slightly at odds because you're part of this community, yet you're being awarded this thing. So it took me a while to think about even how to communicate it truthfully. Yeah. I experienced a bit of friction because it felt like it's not just for me, like it shouldn't be, yet you're the one there. But the Red community, when we shared the news, obviously celebrating all together, it was just such a beautiful thing to share it with them. And then the day itself was just truly magical, like to share it with my mum, who was there with me, my dad and my husband. Prince William was the one sharing the award as well. And so to be able to thank him for all the work that he's done in this space was a real honor, because I really believe that they shone such a bright light in the sector and shared really openly and in a really real way. And so I really appreciated having a bit of time just to have a conversation with him as well. But yes, it's something that I will never forget. And I feel very, very honored that the Red community was recognized in that way. But as I said, it came with a little bit of friction around like the awards side of things. Yeah, I'd be interested to know how other people feel about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I I can't offer any advice on that one, sadly, but I'm sure you'll speak to many people that can. But it's nice to see that you were awarded for your efforts. I mean, just pulled some top line stats here that I could find on your website, but in 10 years you've raised 3.2 million, obviously excluding this year so far. 74% of people that take part are more active. 32% of people go from being inactive to fairly active, and 50% of people that take part experience less depressive symptoms. So I think, I mean, looking at that from an outsider, and I know it's different when it's your baby and your community, but I think that those are incredible stats to have been able to achieve that consistently across 10 years is, something that you should be obviously incredibly proud for and rightly rewarded so as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we get to the end of the podcast and I always ask people the same questions, as many podcasts do. And the first one is, who is someone in your life inspires you? That could be in the past or the present.
There's so many people. The person that came to mind straight away is my husband. He has one of the strongest moral compasses I've ever met in anyone. And it's the thing that drew me to him. But there's just something so incredible. No matter what life throws at him, he knows. He's not scared to challenge things, and to have that and to just take such solace in that, and to know that you're showing up in the world in a way that's really true to that, I just think is such a beautiful thing. And he inspires me all the time. I feel very proud of him and really just so grateful that he's by my side. But he's the one that inspires me day in, day out.
That's very lovely to hear. What is one piece of advice that you would like to share with us?
I have been thinking about this. There's so much.
It's always, I feel like I get to these questions and everyone's like, just give me a second for that one. It's quite a big one.
This is quite a big thing, isn't it? There's so many things that... Okay. So the biggest piece of advice, and this is going back to the Red experience, I think, because we're doing this during January and it just feels so present, but it's listening to what your body needs. Truly listening to what you need. Often what we found is people would join Red and they'll set these big kind of goals. But the things that we often hear is when people wake up in the morning and they go, you know what, I was hoping that today I was going to do X, Y, and Z. You know what, I actually just feel like I need a bit of a stretch. And there's just something really lovely in that, just truly listening to what you need. Because often we kind of put so much pressure on ourselves. So that would be my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, I love it. And I think, well, as well, we tend to put ourselves last a lot of the time. We'll look after the people around us, but never take the time to do what we really need. And yeah, I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier about take that 1% of your day to stretch, to walk, to listen to a podcast, to do whatever it is that makes you rise, I think is the takeaway from this, should we say.
Massively.
So we're currently in January. Where can people find Red January? What's going on? Like, is there anything that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find out more at redjanuary.com. And we'd invite you to join the Red social channels as well. I know we were talking earlier about that community, and I'm very biased, I know, but they are incredibly supportive and special. So that's at Red January UK across all the social channels. And in terms of what we got going on this month and well beyond January as well, but to celebrate 10 years of Red, we're really proud to collaborate with 10 community initiatives. And they're all hosting their own winter events as well. And all these communities like Red celebrate all walks of life. So you will find a community that you really relate to and that you want to be a part of. So yeah, we'd invite you all to join the social channels to find out more information. And there's lots of in-person walks happening, walking events. Again, so you can meet people in person and build friendships, connections, and enjoy getting out in nature as well. So that's something we're really proud of this Red January.